Hey, I'm Melissa.
And I'm Whitney.
We started this true crime podcast over a glass of wine and quickly turned from true crime listeners into true crime advocates.
So get comfy, pop a cork, and grab a glass because we have work to do.
This is Cults, Crimes, and Cabernet.
Some content may be unsuitable for sensitive listeners. Discretion is advised.
Austin, the capital of the huge state of Texas, has had quite a bit of noise in the media recently. If you haven't heard the rumors, there is a possible serial killer targeting a specific type of person. According to FBI data, women accounted for 70% of the known victims of serial killers during the years 1985 to 2010 timeframe. Based on these statistics, the victim is 3.5 times more likely to be a female when it comes to a serial murder incident. However, this is not the case here in Austin. Quite a few bodies of men have been pulled from Ladybirdlake in recent years.
Let's talk about Ladybirdlake. It is more of a river-like reservoir than an actual lake, and it's located right here in Austin, Texas. It was made in the 1960s as a cooling pond for a power plant, and it eventually became a recreation spot, and it really helps control the flooding in the city. Nowadays, there are hiking and biking trails around the lake. It's a very popular place to paddleboard, kayak, and canoe. People are not allowed to swim in this body of water because of the pollution, and locals will tell you the water is so dirty that it's at a toxic level. One of the most well-known tourist attractions in Austin is to take a boat out onto Ladybird Lake and watch the bats fly out from underneath Congress Bridge. According to austintexas.gov, they state that swimming was banned on Ladybird Lake as long ago as 1964 due to several tragic drownings caused by hazards under the water's surface. There's remnants of old washed-away dams, deep pits from old gravel mining operations, and other types of debris litter the bottom of the reservoir, creating a dangerous underwater landscape. So, they say it's not because the water is polluted, but because it is dangerous to swim. We will leave the real reason up to y'all.
Austin has a few unusual nicknames: Bat City or Hippie Haven, but most recently, Austin's motto has been Keep Austin Weird. The nightlife is on a par with larger cities, and the tourists keep coming to see what all the fuss is about. As we said, Austin has been in the news for way too many men being pulled out of bodies of water. Some have been identified, but many still have not. The majority of these men are between 25 and 40 years of age, brown hair, darker complected, known to be in one of the most famous streets in Texas, Rainy Street. This road was once a quiet residential street, now is anything but quiet. The houses on this road have been converted into bars or hotels, and the live music is top-notch. It is a place people go to have a good time. It has that relaxed vibe tourists and locals want to experience. Things might be getting too relaxed in this area, though, with so many people reporting that they had been drugged while out. We're talking 200 to 250-pound grown men, ones that can drink anyone under the table. They drink like it is a competition, only to have a couple of beers and wake up miles from Rainy Street without any memories of what happened. So much talk of ice cubes being drugged prior to going into the drinks, a team of people working together to abduct patrons, or the latest rumor that's making the headlines of an actual serial killer in the area, targeting these men and leaving them dead in Ladybird Lake.
We will be talking about a few of the men that lost their lives after enjoying a night out on Rainy Street and then being found in Ladybird Lake in future episodes, but we wanted to give a high overview of what's going on. In the last 2 months alone, 2 men named Jason John and Jonathan Honey were found in Lady Bird Lake. Police released a statement saying they do not suspect foul play in any of these cases and that they were either accidental drownings or suicides. We do want everyone to understand that we are open to all possibilities and that this is why we're talking about it today, because we, the public, just don't know what happens to these men. Yes, some could be accidental drownings after a night of drinking. Yes, some of these men could have wanted to take their own life. But some of them could have been murdered. And because of how and where they are found, they're all lumped in together.
Local news, KXAN investigated a trend of adults who ended up in the emergency room for symptoms that did not line up with a night out drinking alcohol.
But first tonight, an Austin doctor is noticing a disturbing trend. More and more people showing up in the ER with a range of bizarre symptoms.
She says it's not caused by alcohol and thinks it could be tied to people spiking drinks.
Again, local news has another segment about adults being drugged in 2 major areas of Austin, 6th Street and, you guessed it, Rainey Street.
Austin police are investigating after an Austin man says he was drugged and robbed Friday night on West 6th Street. The victim says he is now out thousands of dollars. As CBS Austin's Ricardo Lewis reports, he's not the only one who claims to have been targeted.
I went out with 2 friends. I woke up, I was just like groggy, super confused. Didn't know a thing about what happened.
Jaswell believes a scammer drained his bank account for at least $10,000.
Feels like it's organized.
Ryan Morrissey is the medical director for the Central Texas Poison Center. He says most of the cases involving spiked drinks are from prescription drugs.
If you don't present for testing and give some urine specimen within a few hours, then there's no hint of it.
According to the Office of Women's Health, date rape drugs like Rohypnol, GHB, and ketamine are used because they're not easily detected, and victims often do not remember being drugged or assaulted until many hours later. In 2016, there were over 320,000 incidents of rape and sexual assault. And these incidents are often underreported for both women and men. According to RAIN, 11.2% of college students experience rape or sexual assault through force, violence, or incapacitation. And in terms of drug-facilitated sexual assault, alcohol is the number 1 substance for assailants, next to prescription drugs with tranquilizing effects and Rohypnol, ketamine, GHB, and ecstasy.
Alcohol.org conducted a survey to see if they could get a more accurate estimate of how many people have been drugged. The report stated, and I quote, out of the 969 people surveyed, 44% of the men and 56% of the women unknowingly consumed spiked food or drinks. Out of this same group, 37% had drinks or food spiked multiple times. I didn't think I would be shocked by these numbers, but I honestly am. That is so many people being drugged. It honestly sounds like it's just a part of the young adult experience, which is sickening to think about.
We have been compiling all of the names of those individuals that have been pulled out of Lady Bird Lake in the last 2 decades. We currently have 35 people on that list. Only 14 actually have been identified, so that means we only have 14 names at this point in our research. We wanted to get as much of this basic information out so locals and tourists can take precautions while we gather all of the information. We are going to be talking about quite a few of the 35 people we have on this list, with the family's permission. There is a lot of media attention on these tragic events right now, and we do not want to cause further distress by having them relive the trauma they've already endured. If any family or friends are listening and want to speak with us about their loved one, please email us at info@cultscrimescabernet.com. We would love for you to share stories about your loved one.
Now, we said there were 35 so far on our list, and we do not believe there has been a serial killer stalking Rainey Street and eluding police since 2008. We just want to make sure these individuals' deaths did not get brushed under the rug too quickly just because they may have been drinking that night. We had the opportunity to speak with Jason John's mother about her son's death. Jason was a 30-year-old man that loved the Austin vibe, so he decided to make Texas his home. A New Yorker, born and raised, Jason was the ideal son. Hearing this mother talk about her son, who was pulled out of Ladybirdlake in February of this year, was heartbreaking.
We don't know how many Jasons, how many Martinez, and how many Jonathans is going to be losing their life again. And this is not acceptable.
We will go more into detail about Jason's death in the next episode of this Ladybirdlake series.
If you have any information about any of the strange deaths at Ladybirdlake in Austin, Texas, please contact the Austin Police Department. You can reach them at 512-974-5000. Just by listening to our content, you too are advocating for justice for these families. Thank you for making a difference in their lives as well.
We want to share a few ways you can support us to continue our mission. You can become a Patreon subscriber for as little as $1 per month, or a simple rate and review on your favorite podcast platform helps us get in front of someone who may know something.
We will continue traveling state by state, seeking justice, because we will be there, no matter where,
no matter who.